600 years before Christ, in Babylon, a tyrannical king ruled ruthlessly until encountering Jesus one day. Many are unaware of Jesus' presence in the Old Testament, specifically in the book of Daniel. This event unfolds in Babylon, governed by Nebuchadnezzar, a proud and cruel tyrant who delighted in torturing his victims. As an absolute dictator, he subdued Syria and turned his attention to Egypt, his main adversary. Judah stood in his path and needed elimination for Nebuchadnezzar's ambition to rule a vast empire. Consequently, he ordered young Jews, including Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, to be trained for his service. Renamed Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, respectively, they faced Nebuchadnezzar's command to erect a colossal, magnificent gold statue, towering at 90 feet tall. The statue's towering height of 90 feet suggests the king's intention to consolidate power by convening all levels of his court for a grand ceremony. Attendees, including rulers, were mandated to prostrate and worship the statue erected by King Nebuchadnezzar under threat of being cast into a blazing furnace and burned. Obedience stemmed from Nebuchadnezzar's determination to assert himself as both the political leader and supreme religious authority in Babylon. Amidst the compliant masses, three men stood resolute, refusing to bow, a defiance fraught with social pressure. Observing this, jealous Chaldeans seized the opportunity to eliminate Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who, despite captivity, had risen to positions of power. Their adherence to the true God of Israel forbade idol worship. Nebuchadnezzar, upon learning, erupted in rage, yet surprisingly offered the accused a chance to defend themselves against the charges. Despite any regard Nebuchadnezzar may have held for them, he demanded total surrender, worship the golden idol, or face the fiery consequences. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were presented with two stark options: bow to the idol or perish. Despite Nebuchadnezzar's previous acknowledgement of the Hebrew God, he now challenged, "Who is the God who can deliver you from my power?" Daniel 3:13-14. Upon hearing their refusal to worship, Nebuchadnezzar's fury intensified. He confronted them, questioning their loyalty to his gods and the golden statue. In a remarkable display of courage, the trio proclaimed their unwavering faith, declaring that even if God chose not to save them from the furnace, they would not bow to false gods. Daniel 3:16-18. Prepared for this moment, they chose death over faithlessness. Nebuchadnezzar, consumed by anger, ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. Bound and thrown into the flames by strong soldiers, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego bravely faced their fate in the fiery furnace. Witnessing the miraculous scene in the fiery furnace, King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and quickly rose to address his counselors. Confirming that 3 men had indeed been cast bound into the fire, his counselors affirmed this truth. However, Nebuchadnezzar's amazement grew as he observed 4 men walking unbound in the midst of the flames, unharmed and untouched by the fire's fury. Remarkably, the appearance of the 4th figure resembled that of a son of God, suggesting a divine presence, possibly the pre-incarnate Christ. During their harrowing ordeal, Jesus was physically present with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. While they may not have been fully aware of his presence, there were moments of consciousness amidst their affliction. Nebuchadnezzar's observation underscores the miraculous nature of their deliverance. Not only were the men unbound, but even the ropes that had restrained them were consumed by the fire, demonstrating God's power over even the most hard-earned hearts. The spacious furnace provided ample room for the men to walk freely, unharmed, and at peace in the midst of the flames. Their serene demeanor amidst adversity is a testament to their unwavering faith. Rather than struggling to escape, they walked untroubled, confident in the same God who protected them in the fire would deliver them from it. This divine intervention serves as a profound reminder of God's ability to surprise and deliver those who remain steadfast in faith, even amidst the most daunting trials. Encountering the divine intervention in the fiery furnace shattered Nebuchadnezzar's illusion of ultimate power. Despite his previous arrogance, he now faced the reality of a higher power surpassing his own. This humbling experience likely prompted introspection and a reassessment of his confidence in demanding worship from others. Approaching the furnace, Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego as servants of the Most High God, inviting them to come out unharmed. As they emerged from the fire, untouched by its flames, Nebuchadnezzar and his officials witnessed the miraculous preservation of their body. Not a hair on their heads was singed, their clothes remained unscathed, and no smell of fire clung to them. This divine rescue defied all expectations, especially considering the fiery fate that befell others who approached the furnace. Nebuchadnezzar's reaction was one of astonishment and recognition of the power of the true God. Summoning the men, he acknowledged the miraculous preservation of their lives. The faith displayed by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego affirmed their unwavering belief in the God of the Bible, their confidence in His promises, and their trust in His power to deliver them from evil. Their refusal to bow to Nebuchadnezzar's idol resulted in the revelation of God's supreme power over even the most powerful ruler in the world. This humbling experience likely prompted Nebuchadnezzar to reconsider his position and acknowledge the sovereignty of the true God. To unbelievers, the faith displayed by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego serves as a powerful testimony of God's ability to deliver us from our own trials and tribulations. As Christians, we understand that, while God is indeed capable of delivering us, His actions may not always align with our expectations. According to Romans 5, God may permit trials and hardships in our lives to shape our character, strengthen our faith, or for reasons beyond our comprehension. In the face of incomprehensible suffering, Job's unwavering trust in God exemplifies the kind of faith we are called to embrace. Despite enduring immense pain and suffering, Job declared, "Though He slay me, yet will I trust Him." This profound trust in God's sovereignty is a testament to the resilience of faith in the midst of adversity. While God does not promise immunity from suffering or death, He assures us of His perpetual presence. In times of adversity and persecution, we are called to emulate the attitude of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who boldly proclaimed, "But if not, be it known to you, O King, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." Daniel 3:18. The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is a compelling narrative of faith, courage, and perseverance. It serves as a poignant reminder that God is always with us, even in the darkest of times. When confronted with challenges, we must maintain unwavering faith and persevere in our belief, knowing that God is sovereign over all circumstances. Despite facing the fire of persecution, we can take comfort in the assurance that God walks beside us, guiding us, sustaining us, and ultimately delivering us into eternal salvation. When we face persecution or endure pain, we find hope in the knowledge that this life is not the end. God's guarantee to those who love and obey Him is eternal life beyond the confines of this earthly existence. Godly leaders should seek regular glimpses of God's power and glory, enabling them to wholeheartedly serve Him. As demonstrated in Daniel 3:28-30, Nebuchadnezzar's recognition of God's sovereignty led to a decree affirming the unmatched ability of the true God to save His people. The king ensured that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego thrived in the province of Babylon. Although the name Jesus is not explicitly mentioned in the Old Testament, His presence is subtly woven throughout its pages. The Old Testament contains references that validate His identity, as emphasized throughout the Holy Scriptures. Jesus Himself affirmed this truth in John 5:46, when He declared that the Old Testament speaks of Him. He explained to religious authorities that if they truly believed in Moses, they would recognize his writings as pointing to Jesus. Moreover, Jesus' presence in the Old Testament is further evidenced by the fulfillment of over 300 prophecies concerning His earthly life, ministry, and death. These prophecies, spanning from His unique birth, Isaiah 7:14, to the manner of His death, underscore the divine plan woven into the fabric of human history. Many historical events in the Old Testament symbolize what God would accomplish through Christ in the future. For instance, God's command to Abraham to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice foreshadowed Jesus as the ultimate sacrificial lamb. Abraham's prophetic declaration, "God will provide for Himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son," points to Jesus as the promised Messiah. Jesus' presence transcends the pages of the New Testament. He is also depicted in various passages of the Old Testament. As the promised Messiah of God, Jesus is the central figure of the Bible, the living word that illuminates God's offer of reconciliation, forgiveness, and eternal life. The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego epitomizes faith, courage, and perseverance. It teaches us that remaining faithful to God, even in the face of persecution, ensures His constant presence with us. Indeed, the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego serves as a profound foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. If you have found this video to be useful, please consider subscribing. Let us create a community of people who are filled with positivity and faith.